Hello and welcome to a new episode of Airport CEO here on the channel. Now, before we get any further into today's video, as always, if you should end up enjoying and liking this video, then why not leave a like? And of course, if you are new around here, why not hit subscribe? That would be absolutely awesome. Alright, so we have a couple of things that we want to work on today. We still have some minor improvements that we want to add to Terminal 2, and then the main task of today will be starting working on the French sector. And what that is all about more later in the video. The very first thing I would like to take a look at is this fairly narrow and elongated building that we have here, kind of outside of our terminal building. Now, in real life in Geneva Airport, this is basically the entrance to the train station at the airport, and you also have bus stops around there for public transport. Now, we can't really build the train station inside the building, which is why we have built our train station or our access point to the metro at the end of this building. But I still wanted to have at least something that resembles what there is in real life. Now, given that the building is fairly narrow, there isn't really space to do much inside, so I think it's too narrow to really add shops and stuff like that. So I think we will just add seating arrangements to kind of make it look nice, and then see, maybe people will walk through there and rest, maybe not. But at least we have kind of improved the looks of it here, and I think that is the main goal for this part of the airport. Alright, so in our quest to further improve Terminal 2, I have identified one area that I would like to improve, and that's actually around our satellite terminals. I mean, they are operational, they work pretty much as intended, they are just as crowded as we expected, but one thing that I kind of missed here was actually to add some staff rooms, and the closest staff rooms are actually quite far away. So to again eliminate workers to have a very far commute to their working stations, and we have plenty of space underground here, I thought that would be a good idea to add some staff rooms here. They'd be rather large, but it doesn't really matter because we have the space, and that hopefully can further improve the operations of our satellite terminals. Alright, but enough improvements on Terminal 2, let's focus on our main task for today, which is starting working on the French sector. But what is that actually? Well, let's maybe give a little bit background to Geneva Airport. Now, if you don't know by now, Geneva Airport, of course, is situated in the outskirts of Geneva and close to Lac Léman or Lake Geneva. And the airport is slap bang at the border between Switzerland and France. Now, as this is a border region, there are of course many things that kind of involve both the Swiss and the French side, and there's a lot of collaboration across the border. But there are of course also some things that kind of need to remain within the border. For example, the airport. Now, there was actually an interesting fact about the runway of Geneva Airport, which many years ago had to be extended. Now, the problem was that the extension of the runway was not possible without building into French territory. But that would have, on a legal basis, actually taken away Switzerland's status of being a neutral nation. So they had to make a trade of land, and that had to be exactly the same size, where Geneva or Switzerland gave France some piece of land and vice versa, got a piece of land from France, so that the airport could extend the runway. Now, given that the airport is right at the border, it would of course make sense that the airport could also be accessible for French citizens, which it is, of course, because you can cross the border, but borders haven't always been as open as they are nowadays, and you of course still have the whole issue with, for example, customs. So what the French and Swiss authorities came up with was actually to kind of have an airport within the airport. So there is a French sector within Geneva Airport, which can, for example, be reached from the French side via a special road, which is fenced off. And basically this part of the airport is within the French customs region. So while the overwhelming majority of passengers would just enter the airport from the Swiss side and not really think about it, there is the option to also enter the airport from the French side and technically not leave the French customs area. Now, the benefit of that is that, for example, Geneva Airport can actually offer French internal flights. So, for example, flights from Geneva going to Paris, operated by Air France, would count as a French internal flight, even though it technically is leaving from another country. Now, there are many things here that we cannot replicate, but what we can try to do is to kind of build a terminal within a terminal that is more or less walled off from most other sections, and we can also make an access road that is basically coming from the northern parts of our game here, our gameplay, and that won't be intersecting with any of the other roads. So in a sense, kind of recreating this road that you also have in real life, going from the French territory to the French sector of Geneva Airport. The main difference, however, being that the road and the access to our French sector that we are building will all be underground, where in real life it is overground, so on ground floor level. The reason why we are building it underground is simply because we don't have the space for it above ground, so we kind of need to figure out a compromise here, how we can actually realize this French sector terminal, this airport within the airport. Now, when I say airport within the airport, I kind of really mean airport within an airport. So the building will have its entirely own baggage system. We will have a departure hall only for this terminal, and all the infrastructure that we know from the other parts of the airport, this building will have as well. We might need to zone this in as a separate terminal at some point. Right now it's not zoned in as any terminal, but I'm pretty sure that when it comes to operations, the game will run much easier if we actually assign it as a terminal, because it will also mean that we can assign staff to the building and GSE, and that will make a lot of things much easier. But for now, we leave it unassigned while we are constructing it, and then we will see how it goes once this part of the airport is finished. Now, one of the things is, of course, it kind of, I might have made it sound like this French sector is completely zoned off or walled off from the rest of the airport in real life. and it is not. I mean, even from the Swiss side, you are able to access the French sector, but you are kind of crossing at least a customs border when you do so. Now, we don't have customs in this game, so I mean, yeah, so it's something again where we kind of have to work out how we do this, and I will make some form of access from the rest of the game area here to this terminal, because passengers don't always arrive at the right areas, so to avoid having a lot of people stranded, we need to build some form of access to this building, but I don't think I will build the access to this part of the airport within the terminal area, so for example within the security zones, but I think I will just have an entrance on ground floor level to the land site. And yeah, if people then really need to go from one terminal to the other, they might have to leave security zones and then re-enter security zones, but that way there will at least be a path, so that hopefully in the game this terminal will also work. Now, one thing is clear, we won't be able to finish this part of the airport in today's episode because there's just too much to be done, but I think we have done a really major step forward again here. I mean, we have the infrastructure in place for the arrival hall, we have the luggage system in place, but there's still plenty of things, like for example the entire departure hall we still need to build, and of course shine up the entire terminal so it also looks nice. So still plenty of things to do in future episodes, but for now I think we are coming to the end. And now, if you have enjoyed this video, then I would be very happy if you could leave a like, and of course if you are new around here, why not hit subscribe? That would be absolutely awesome. With that, I'd like to say thank you very much for watching, hope to see you soon again. I'm checking out, and bye.